Welcome, everybody, to the One Step at a Time podcast. I am your host, Adrian Avila, and today I have the pleasure of bringing Armando Olmeda.
Olmeda.
Olmeda, there you go. I got it. You know, I was like, wait, Olmeda.
Español.
Armando wears many hats. Let's talk about it. He sells life insurance. He's a traveling nurse. He's a realtor. He is an investor. He bought his this is your second property?
Second, yeah. God bless. Yeah.
Yeah, second property. I mean, this guy is truly what we call the entrepreneur, wearing many hats, investing in many different aspects. He is young, growing, and I mean, he definitely is making a mark on this world. So, Armando.
Thank you, bro. That means a lot. That's a big introduction, Adrian. But thank you, bro, for the introduction and for inviting me over to your podcast, man. I'm excited for what you're gonna do.
No, I mean, I'm excited for our episode, man. I know when I had invited you, I was like, you know what, like, I want to bring Armando because people start to realize that, how old are you again, Armando?
26.
26 years old. 26 years old, and you're doing all these things, right? Mm-hmm. You're a rising star from, at TFA, right? You've worked your ass off as being a nurse. You're selling properties, on the weekends. You're doing all this stuff, man.
Right.
And, a lot of people at the age of 25, 26 are still out there partying it up, not doing anything with their life, right? Not making an impact. And, for me, our world is about making an impact, right?
Yeah.
And for you, look at what you're doing. You're securing people into a home. Mm-hmm. You're securing people's lives with life insurance, which I mean, like, I'm working on getting my life insurance, as well. I've told you.
Yeah.
But to help, the Latino community in the construction side,
right, to
actually protect their assets and to actually protect their family overall.
Huge need, right? Huge need.
And so, why is it that at 25 you decided to wear all these hats?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like, I feel like you don't just wake up one day and be like, all right, let me do everything. I think naturally it came about. I mean, I was maybe 22 when I graduated to become an RN. And then I come from humble beginnings. I've always had to work my entire life. So I think a lot of, kids, obviously we're on campus at the McKinley, right? And that's a huge, just even seeing the tour, that really inspired me and really took me back to my own childhood. Like, looking at the musicians, I used to play the saxophone, and I used to remember of what it would do to me, though, like how it would let you forget about life and just let you kind of like dive into it. And as a kid, that's so important. And I guess, as a kid, like, you don't think about what you're going to do, truly. You kind of just live in the moment and just enjoy life,
right?
Which is kind of the beauty of it, right? Because when you're older, you start thinking about all these other things. But naturally, I became a nurse because I didn't have any direction in my life growing up in high school. I was more like just a 2.0 kid. I always knew I was smart, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I didn't try. And it's not until you find purpose in your life that you find direction.
Right.
And I read The Alchemist as my first book that I ever read my senior year, and that was really what changed my life, because The Alchemist talks about finding your personal legend. And your personal legend is kind of like the treasure you have in your life, where you should always that's your purpose in life. And there's omens are signs that direct you to your life. So that kind of like inspired me to like, all right, what could I do with my life? Well, how can I make an impact? And then, I chose nursing, medical field, because I love being around people, love helping people. And then I took a trip to Mexicali, Mexico, through APU. I wasn't even going there. That's Azusa Pacific.
Right.
They were giving this program where we could go to an orphanage and just deliver free healthcare. And I was going through a really tough time in my life at that time. And I just wanted some spiritual healing. So I was like, you know what, bro? Like, let me go to this thing that I hear about. I'm not even I'm not even going to school there.
Yeah.
Let me just go because I really need this. And I went and I saw the impact you had of all the little kids, and like, you just really connected with them like all day. So that's when I knew. I was like, all right, healthcare is what I want to do.
Right.
And that's why I went to nursing first.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
and then here you are, just taking other steps in life, right? And it's just, I mean, I've known you for, I would say, a short amount of time, but in that short amount of time, I resonate with you a lot because, at your age, I was hustling and bustling in the construction field, right?
Yeah.
I was, I was a young kid over here running a 33 unit project in Pasadena.
Wow.
Right. That cost, $10 million for, no, sorry, like $12 million worth project. Or, and I just,
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure for this kid. Right. Yeah. And so I just, I had the opportunity and the blessing to do so. Right. And for you, it's like, I could see a lot of what I've gone through. Right.
Yeah.
And, and I'm still learning at this age.
I mean, when you were 26 managing like that, like that's huge, right? That's probably more money than you're probably worth at that time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge amount of valuation. Like, why do you think you were blessed with that opportunity versus not someone else?
Well, because look, my I always say my number one mentor is my uncle who brought me into the industry.
Yeah.
Right. He was my guide in construction. He was the guy that was like, "Hey, Adrian, like you want to do this? Like, come on board with me, right?" Like, he would always bring me to his job sites, always do this, and we'd go on fishing trips with his clients, with people of the industry.
And you were young?
And I was young, dude. I mean, at 8 years old, he was there, going through Cal Poly, Pomona, studying and everything. And I was there with him, and he would teach me how to read blueprints, dude. Like at the age of 8, dude, I can tell you how to read a blueprint.
That's awesome.
Right. And so I was blessed to have that in my life.
Yeah.
Right. I was blessed that my mom lived at home with her other siblings and my grandparents. So I was exposed to that this whole time.
Right.
Right. And so like that's what got me into it. Right. And now that I know I'm growing and everything, like I always look back at those humble beginnings. Right. Yeah. Because of him, I am where I am today, and I can always reach out to him for help.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like, and I think that's where like a lot of, our youth, right. And I'm not saying youth as in the age, but like as youth as getting into business, right.
Yeah.
We don't have those guidances sometimes.
I think that's I think that's 100% true, bro. It's a mentorship. Like I think if we knew better, we would do better. But many times we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we don't know hurts us more. Sometimes what we don't know hurts us more.
Yeah.
So it's like, the mentorship is important, but where do you find that mentorship?
Yeah.
Like, where do you find
where do you find it? That's like why I started doing what I started doing, and I opened up this other company to actually, guide people. Right. I'm from construction background.
Right.
But business is business, right? Growing a business is growing a business. It doesn't matter if it's just construction or if it's something else. Like the business concept is the same.
Yeah.
Right. We have to have the right structure behind it, the right foundation to actually build our business. And so that's where I come in. I start mentoring these other individuals. I mean, I got people that are 21 years old. I got people who are like 50 something years old. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm guiding them through this stuff. Right. But it's just a blessing. So I can be able to share that with them. Yeah. Right.
So someone listening, what would you say is the basic foundation of starting a business from, for example, outside they're talking about, what was she saying? She said they were learning how to start a coffee machine or like a lemonade stand.
Yeah, a coffee cart.
Coffee cart. Yeah. Okay. So let's say business could be applied to anything. So what would be the basic operations or foundation of a business?
So like to me, like if we're gonna go to like the coffee cart that they're gonna do, right? It's like let's find out what people want, right? Because I feel like you go to coffee shops, right? This is just me, right? Coffee shops have fucking like 4 boards full of this is what coffees, right? There's my coffees, my teas, and everything, right? Why not get something specific and really hone in on that and make it the best cappuccino, make it the best latte, make it the best, right?
Right.
And you focus on just these items, and you perfect it, right? You're not gonna perfect it, but you get really good at it.
That's your shit right there. That's your coffee.
That's what you're known for, right? Yeah. So guess what? Now these kids, hey, you know what? Like I make this badass vanilla latte, right? And everybody's gonna be like, well, look, they only specialize in like these coffees.
This is all you get. Yeah.
And that's what you get.
It's like In-N-Out, right? You only got 3 options, and that's it.
In-N-Out made it, I mean, that's the best concept right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? They don't bring chicken into it. They don't bring turkey. They don't bring beyond the meat stuff. Like it's just a burger.
Right.
Right? But they perfected how it's done to the production, to the quality, to the delivery.
I mean, I'm thinking in the coffee cart example, if you focus on let's say your vanilla latte, your cappuccino, you at least that kind of focuses on your expenses because
Right.
you know you're only buying the same ingredients.
Exactly. It starts a trickle effect,
Yeah,
right?
filters out.
And so then, develop a strong mission statement. Like, what's the mission behind your coffee cart, right? Like, what is
Yeah.
it? Like, for me, like, Anubis is, I'm here to guide you through treacherous waters
Right.
to get you to shore, right?
That's wrong.
So, you know what? Your enemy
I like how you
can't,
said that.
your enemy can't touch you when you're in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. Your enemy can't swim, right? So if we can get you to safe land, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Take you to paradise, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
The oasis.
The oasis. I like that one. So like
That's
their
wrong. I like that. Yeah.
their coffee
Mission
cart
statement.
idea. Right.
Yeah.
Their
Mission
coffee
statement.
Mission statement.
Specific on your product.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, your audience.
And then your market.
Yeah.
Market to your audience, right?
Who's your audience?
Who's your audience? Find your avatar.
Yeah.
Right? Coffee, like your big coffee drinkers right now are your millennials.
For sure.
Right? They want something that's quality. Right? They don't want a Starbucks coffee.
Right.
They don't want a coffee bean coffee. They want something, a small shop that delivers quality coffee.
Yeah. And they're very emotional too.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, I think like if they have I would rather, I guess I'm part of that group, right? It's like I'd rather go from a coffee shop that's maybe a Latino, that's maybe from Durango,
Yeah.
that I know I'm from. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna go there versus Starbucks.
Yeah.
Even if I gotta pay $1, $2 extra.
Yeah, and I'm with you because like I will go get like a coffee in Glendora,
Yeah.
right? That they have this beautiful cortado,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's called the Red Lounge, and their cortado is good,
Yeah.
right? I go get another cortado in Laverne at French Press. Their cortado is good,
Yeah.
and they specialize in in their coffees, in their teas, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have this elaborate menu,
Right.
right? So they're just good at what they do,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why I say if they can do that, then
There you go.
There
the
we
coffee
go.
part. Yeah.
There
yeah.
we go.
This-
But Armando, I know like you do a lot of personal development the way I do and everything like that. Like, what is like one of the books that you're reading right now that actually help you, that are helping you in today's development side?
Yeah. You know what? I do look up to you on that, bro. I think you're a lot more determined and disciplined and the self-development than I am. For example, you doing ice baths every day, like you and your wife, man. Shout out to you and Suhei for that. I have not had the courage to do that, but to answer your question,
Don't worry, I'll get you there.
I'll
get you
I know
there.
you will. I've read so far this year. What I've read, January. I read How to Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick B.
Yeah.
And then the second book I read in February was the Chris Voss book. The one that's the sales one.
Yeah.
It was about how to. It was a negotiation book.
Yeah.
It was a really good book. It really teaches about sales, tonality, how to like read body language, the basic stuff you need in everyday life.
Right.
The next book I'm gonna read, that's on my list, is it's a Rosa Brunson book.
Okay.
It's the .com.
Oh.
And it's how to create. It's about digital marketing, how to create community. So these are more like I'm going personal, sales, marketing. That's kind of like my sequence.
Right.
But the first book was very good. I recommend for people for that one for personal development because it starts to for us as young men, as young as men in general, is we have a lot of anger and there's a lot of dark feelings that are often feel like we have to oppress when in reality we probably shouldn't oppress it. For example, people maybe in a generalized society they see anger and fear and like a lot of these dark emotions as negative. Like no, you shouldn't get mad. But that book kind of teaches you to use that same anger, that same fear, that same envy that you may have towards someone or jealousy or whatever it may be, and use it as a way to propel you to your goals.
Yeah.
Like use it as motivation. Like it's normal that you're gonna feel it, but it's how you label it as.
It is true. And I'll take it one step further.
Please.
So like those negative emotions, right? They vibrate at a low frequency, right? And so what happens is that the world is based on frequency, right? So if you're happy, if my energy is high, your energy is going to be high, right?
Yeah.
If my energy is low, everybody in the room is going to be low,
Yeah.
right? So if we can change the frequency of that anger and bring love into it,
Yeah.
right? And you find out what that love is within that anger, we can change that, right? And now we're at a higher frequency, and now we're able to propel in life, right? I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And I use this example a lot because I mean it was very impactful for me. So like I had anger towards my father for many years, but until I learned to love him for who he is, right? My vibration with him is at a higher level. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not upset. I'm not I don't have the hate anymore. And it's allowed me to grow as a person because now I see in everybody the beauty, right? You can be the worst person to me,
Right.
and I'll still find something good about you.
Now, like that example, using that example, right? Like you felt you were mad at your father for whatever the reasons may be.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you found love in that.
Yeah.
But how could you find love in that if you still have the anger?
I don't have the anger though, I said.
So you had to let go of that.
I let go of it because I channeled that into love.
So you forgave.
I forgave him.
Forgave him.
But in order to forgive him, you have to find that love for it, right? So I mean,
That's hard to do.
I'll get deep on it though. So like my dad left. He chose to be part of an organization, right? Be locked up for years at a time, right? So it was just my sisters, my mom, my grandparents, right? And they helped raise me,
Yeah.
right? My grandparents and my mom. So my anger was towards my dad was like, why would you choose that family instead of your own family?
Mm.
You know what? But that's the tools he was given growing up, right?
Right.
So I could only love him for who he is, right? Because that's not going to change. You can't change somebody,
Yeah.
right? So I had to understand, hey, you know what, dude? That's him, not me, right? But you know what? This is the guy who brought me into this world, right? He has good attributes at times, and I had to love him for that. I had to look past that negative part because we're so easily influenced by the negativity, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
How easy is it for someone to go on Yelp and talk shit about you on an organization, right?
Right.
Instead of them saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write a positive review." Quickly, the negative one is quickly done instead of the positive one, right? And I look at that in life too. We're so quick to judge. We're so quick to attack somebody. Instead of, you know what, like take a step back and find out what the good attributes of this person is.
Yeah.
And focus on that.
Yeah. Focus on the positive.
Focus on the positive, and that's what I had to do.
Mm.
And so for me to say I love my father for who he is. Like I mean, that's who he is. That's my dude. That's 50% of me right there. However you want to slice it.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's like we find that, right? And through that journey, I find out, you know what, like all that anger, got me to who I am today, right? And I love myself for that. And I'm able to now look at it and be like, okay, now how do I change that to bring me to become someone better now?
That's a good point, right? I mean, what got you here won't get you to your next level.
It won't.
Right. But what got you to here was that channeling that anger and that thing of like, let me get lost in my work. Let me just focus on my task. I mean, the thing is like for someone who is, let's say in phase A, like should they forgive and then find another way to channel? Would that make them go farther, or should they just use what they have now, the resources of that feeling, and then use it to get to? So
I've done a lot of, we call it like negative emotions, shadow work, stuff like that, right? And a quick rundown is like you find what's positive in nature and only about oneself, about that situation, right?
What does that mean?
So I'm gonna break it down to you. So say you're upset because when you were a kid, your mom told you, "No, Armando, you can't do that," right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it comes trickling into your life now a little bit, right?
Right.
Now it's like I got this feeling in my head that I can't do something, right? And so you look at it and you're like, shit, like I can't do it because I've been told I can't do it.
Right.
Right. But if you go back, right, your mom may have told you and you're upset, right? And so you go back and you're like, well, she told me I couldn't do it because she was protecting me from harm. But all we got was that negative part, right? We only focused on that
Oh, like not the back.
not the whole story.
Yeah, like when asking why.
Right.
Why
So
she-
now we address that whole story in general.
Yeah.
So what I do,
That's a good point.
what I do is I go back and I'm like, okay, but why did your mom say that? Right? Because
Yeah.
of such and such thing.
What
Right?
is she thinking? What is
was
she
she
believing?
thinking? Right? Because remember, as kids, we get, when we're told no, it kind of imprints onto us.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you, like, I forgot what stupid bullshit I had one day, like that popped up, right? It was
Yeah.
like, oh, my mom said I couldn't do something, right? And so I used that, like it would pop up eventually in my life, back and forth, like, oh, I can't do something. And I always believed I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I go back and I'm like, oh, she told me I couldn't do this because she was protecting me because of such and such, such. And you now reframe it,
Yeah.
right? And you look at it like, oh no, she meant this, and this is why. And you start addressing it, and you bring that love and positivity to it, and you rechannel and you rephrase it
Right.
to where it benefits you, right? And now you start eliminating all these limited beliefs, these negative emotions, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're able to do that, then you're able to grow, right?
Yeah, that's strong. Yeah, that's strong. Is figure out the motive. You know why?
Find out why.
Why?
Like, right?
That's
Like,
why.
what was the purpose behind it?
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes we just overlook that as kids and we don't realize that it transfers into our life.
I mean, even then, now I think it's like a lot of things we take are at face value.
Yeah.
But we don't really try to dig in deeper.
No.
I think it's easier to take it as face value. Even like, for example, like someone pisses you off, like you're just like, yeah, fuck them, right? Like,
Yeah.
Can I even cuss anymore?
Yeah,
I mean, like, my bad. I mean, like, someone gets you mad and you're like, oh man, forget them.
Yeah.
But the mirror effect, right? Is like, well, what are they going through? Like, why are they mad? And then why is it triggering me? And then that's kind of digging deeper into
Right. So
it.
I tell people, whatever bothers you about that person,
Yeah.
turn it back and say, what about it is about me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because obviously it bothers you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So through one of the programs I'm in, it's like, where have I done this to myself? Where have I done this to others? Or where have I done it to God or a higher being?
That's right.
Right? And you look at those three items in your life, right? Of those three situations, like, where have I done it here, to myself, to others, or to God?
Yeah.
And then
Always one is
it's always one of those three.
one of them. Yeah.
One of those three, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh damn. Yeah, I got pissed off because they took my parking spot.
Right.
Because I've done it to somebody else, right? Like, just like random stuff.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
And you're just like, man, okay. But now that you bring awareness to it, that's where the true change comes. Because now you can address those items.
Yeah.
Right?
Well said. Well said. Yeah. I mean, those are great self-development.
Yeah.
Speaking about personal development.
But I mean, those are just like, it's not an overnight thing either.
Yeah.
It takes time. I mean, I've been on this self-development trail for like 5 years already, right? And it's always constant learnings behind it. And it goes into like one of my questions, like, what's been one of your biggest lessons in life? I don't say failures, I say lessons, because we learn things through our downtimes.
Right.
Right. So what would you say was like your biggest lesson ever in life?
Biggest lesson, or I guess failure turned lesson
Yeah.
in life. I mean, let me see.
And what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're failing all the time. I feel like I'm making mistakes like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm learning all the time. But I guess my biggest one that I always feel like I might have the biggest regret on is probably time.
But why would you say it's regret though?
Just because you might think back and be like, dang, if I would have done this, I would have gained this time back, or I would be somewhere else here.
But what are you doing today to make up for it though?
Yeah, good time. So that's why that kind of circles back to the first one is I try to compress time as much as possible. And through that is I try to work as much as I do, because I'm like, damn, I really missed out on a lot of time with my family. A lot of time I could have been doing more productive things.
Yeah.
So a lot of my regrets came from just getting lost in the space of drugs, partying, stuff that I guess a young person would do.
Yeah.
But that regret did come from, I lost a lot of time with my mom, a lot of time with my family. And I was like, you know what? If I would have done this, I could have been somewhere else. Or I could have helped more people.
Right.
because you never feel like you're never achieving your full potential.
But at the same time, I look at it without those experiences today,
Yeah,
it wouldn't make you who you are today,
that is true.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
So when you look back at all that stuff that's happened, right? All the bullshit that you did,
Mm-hmm.
what'd you learn from it though? Like what truly did you learn from it? Like
Yeah.
what's positive about that? And that's the hard part, right? For some people, is like what's the positivity that you found in it?
I think there are certain like phrases that people say that are really true. Like Nate, like those are just like, for example, you are who you hang with, or like this the seeds that grow around you, you're gonna grow like that seed.
Yeah.
So environment is huge. So I think that a lot of the stuff was solidified when you think back. Like you really mirror whoever you're around.
Right.
So if you were with like 5 successful people, you're eventually gonna mirror their habits.
Right.
So take that into comparison. If you're in a wrong environment, you just have to get out of that environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you 100%.
Yeah.
But, and then going to that, I mean, I feel because of who you are, Armando, like people have misunderstood you
Yeah.
in, growing up.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, what's the biggest misunderstanding that people have had about you?
Yeah. I mean, misunderstanding. I think a lot of people try to like, us as normal, we always judge people from the cover, like how they look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think growing up, I've always had a chip on my shoulder because people have always thought I was stupid. They label you, especially as growing up, certain, how you say, right? Certain things just imprint on you.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff was imprinted on me through my own family and just, growing up with other kids.
Yeah.
That you're just like the dumb kid. Like you're not going to gain anything in life the way you're acting or whatever. So you just reframed it, and then I turned it into more like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
And that's kind of I guess, channeling that frame. A misunderstanding was that's not me at all.
But see, now you're reframing it to prove to others, right?
Yeah.
I guess. What about proving it, like, what about for Armando though? Like, because to me, I got nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people can talk shit all they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I say? Right?
That is true.
And so to me, it's like, what am I doing for myself?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care what anybody thinks about me.
So what's your biggest hunger? Like, what keeps you the most hungriest?
What keeps me hungry is that I just want to constantly just grow, right? Because we're never done like learning, right?
Yeah,
There's always something that's gonna pop up that you're gonna be like, shit, like, oh, I never thought I would experience this, right? And then you experience it, and you're like, damn, like, you know what? Like, it did take some out of me, but you know what? I didn't let it win me over.
Yeah.
Right? I tell, because, I'm a big, I pray to God every day.
Yeah.
Right? And so I tell God, like, hey, dude, like, help me be a better person. He doesn't make me a better person. He puts me in situations to make me that better person.
Mm. Yeah,
right?
the opportunity.
Yeah,
the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
Right? And so when those opportunities arise,
right,
do you go running after them or do you back down? I'm always up. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like, here we go. Recently I would tell people, like, you know what? Like, I won't take on this type of project. And guess what's been happening? These opportunities have been coming up, and I'm like, are you telling me it's time to start taking these opportunities? Like, right? And so, the opportunities come up, and you just got to go for them, right? And so what keeps me going is because I just want the new experience. I want to see I want to feel what everybody else is feeling, but in my own world, right? Because it's going to make me grow. Right?
Yeah.
No one said life is easy.
No, life is not easy. Yeah, life is not easy.
It's a moment of trial and error. It's learning from those trials and errors, and then implementing from those trials and errors to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just personal. Yeah, you're speaking for someone who like really likes personal development, right?
Yeah, and
life.
It's just life. And then like I look at like the one step at a time. It's steps, right? Those steps never end, right? Our steps are continuously going. We're always what's next for me, right? I'm always looking what's next. What's the next opportunity? Who's the next person I'm going to impact, right? Like to me, that's all I can do. If I can impact one person, I've already done society a favor.
Yeah.
That's why like I'm doing what we do here at McKinley, right? Like if I can impact one kid's life by introducing them to somebody, doing a program with them.
Yeah. Connecting with someone,
Yeah,
connecting with them.
I just feel it's great, right? I'm making that change. So to me, like give the opportunity to people.
Yeah.
So that's what fuels me.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things though, right? Life is not easy. I think if you could, it's kind of like if you set the expectation up front early, then you're not disappointed. So you set the expectation up front that life is already going to be tough for you, especially as a man. Then that allows you to work. Not tough, but like it's not going to be easy. I mean, you got to work.
Yeah.
You got to work. You got to grow yourself. But if you set that expectation up front, knowing that it's normal to work, it's normal for you to miss out on birthdays or miss out on anything.
Yeah.
You need to work hard. Then that allows it to really be accepted.
Yeah.
You know.
And we can't be hard on ourselves is the thing. And that's the thing. People have this goal, right? It's a big goal, right? And there's nothing wrong with setting a big goal.
Right.
But as you're going, it takes a step at a time to get there. And people get frustrated because they don't realize, hey, you know, some goals take 20 steps, some goals take 100 steps.
Yeah, we see the end goal.
Right? And everybody's just focused on that end goal. And I'm like, dude, well, hold on. Look at where you started and look at where you are today. Like, appreciate that growth.
For sure.
And now focus on the next steps coming.
Right.
Right? You're going to get to that goal.
It's like the daily habits, right? Like the book Atomic Habits, where they talk about, you know, just this incremental change.
Yeah.
And then the identity shift. For example, if you want to be a successful, you know, developer, it's like you got to embody the identity of one. You're a developer. Don't be like one day I want to be a developer. Just already embody it like you are one. And then what does a developer do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And you know, it goes to like, you know, for you, like I know you've had a past, but like what would you go back to go tell your 16-year-old self? You know, knowing what you know today.
Right.
What would you tell your 16-year-old self or your 14-year-old self?
Wow. Yeah. What I would tell myself would be enjoy life, but don't waste the opportunity of time, you know? And then don't be afraid to take risk. I think a lot of the time it's called what's it called when you're like overstudy? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Like just take the step forward and fail fast.
Yeah.
Because when you're young and you fail, it's okay. People aren't gonna look at you like you're dumb.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, you're just young.
Yeah.
But when you're older and you're 35, you're 40, you're 26, you don't have as many of those mistakes as before. When you're young, you could do anything, and people are like, oh, it's okay. But when you're older, well, you have more responsibilities now.
Right.
You have kids. You got a roof over your head. You got an overhead. So I would tell my 16-year-old self to take anything you want to do and go ahead and take it, and don't listen to the people who tell you can't do it. Because they're just telling you something that they couldn't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't need that negativity around.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't. Yeah. I mean,
I start cutting people out pretty quick when
I would tell myself that too. Yeah. Is just get around people that are somewhere who you want to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are surrounded by people who are determined, right?
Yeah.
And beyond determination, I think it's purpose. What is our purpose here? Right?
Right.
It's good to make money, but what's our purpose behind everything in life?
I think it's legacy, bro. I think it's impact, you know?
Make an impact one way or another.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the whole thing we're doing here too, like with the McKinley as well, that is impact, bro. That's the reason why we do what we can. You know, we do everything so we could give it back. You know, ultimately it's not made for us to keep it or anything like that. It's just abundance.
I mean, when I'm gone, dude, they're gonna burn me and throw me into the ocean. You know, like I ain't taking nothing with me.
And for example, like when you accomplish something big, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to tell someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the point if you accomplish something big and there's no one around you that you love or care about? It's all about relationship. Yep. Life is all about relationships.
It is. It definitely is. And you talked about the past, but what made you not continue doing what you did in the past?
In the past?
Like all your, because you said you got into partying, drugs, and everything.
Yeah.
Like, what made you say, you know what, instead of steering left, I got to come back to the right side and align myself again?
I think it's God's purpose, man. I think God has a purpose for each one of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's already been set in stone, our destiny, and we're just living it out to God's word. And I think my word as well, I feel like God has always allowed me to feel just full of life when
Yeah.
I'm working towards my goals, and when I'm not working against them, I just feel I feel terrible, and I
Yeah.
feel like internally I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not
Right.
doing God's work. So I know doing God's work allows me to bless other people, because
Yeah.
I could only truly bless other people when I have stuff to give. But if I have nothing to give and I'm empty inside, how could I be of service?
Yeah.
So that's how I knew. I was like, I'm too empty, yo. I need to do
Yeah.
something.
It's funny
to
because like
change.
the reason I started doing this here at McKinley is because, one of my mentors, Francisco Jara, says,
Yes.
find something that breaks your heart
Mm-hmm.
and do something about it.
You do.
And so like, you hear the stories of these kids here and it's like,
Right.
damn, like one of them almost made me tear up, dude. And I was just like, okay, like, all right, God, like I kind of get what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Let's see what we do. And so, we built the gym for them, and now they're talking about making a bigger gym for them.
Yeah.
And hey, Adrian, like, let's do this. So it's like, all right, let's figure it out.
Right.
Right. And so, like we find purpose. And that's what I'm saying. We live
You have
life
to
with
find that.
purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good way to find your purpose, like you said,
Yeah.
right? Well, exactly what Francisco said was
Yeah.
find what breaks your heart, and then do something about it.
Yeah. And so, for me, it's like I tell you, it's like, yeah, I have fun building and everything, but I think like the more impactful side
Yeah.
is giving these kids an opportunity that they don't have.
Yeah.
Right. And so
That's huge.
it is.
Shout out to you for doing that, bro, for the gym.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll be doing something like that for sure. But, I know you took a tour of like McKinley and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what'd you
place.
what'd you like? What'd you think overall?
I think, bro, I didn't. I don't see. I'm like, this place is huge. They got a pool. they got the basketball court. They got the baseball, the gym. I was like, this place is awesome. And then
Yeah.
I said, like, I feel like people's time here when they come here. She told me it's between like 6 to 9 months average duration.
Mm-hmm.
I said they probably remember this place like their entire life.
Yeah.
They're probably like, dang, I remember my time at McKinley like being like awesome,
Yeah.
And she's like, that's exactly what we want, is to have provide them with an unforgettable experience.
Yeah.
I said, wow, well, I could definitely see how you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
In the heart of San Dimas, right next to the high school, right? Yeah. You see the difference, like.
Yeah. And I tell people there's 3 things we can do. We can offer our time, talent, or treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so for me, it's like, you know what? If I can bring a sphere of influence of people here, if I can participate in building something better for them, like why not?
Right.
And so the whole purpose is like, let's bring attention to this stuff.
Yeah.
Because this isn't their only campus. They have other facilities and everything.
Yeah, she told me. Yeah.
And it's just great, what they're doing. And to see that if we can make, like I said, if I can make an impact on one kid's life at a time, like why not?
To become one stud at a time, huh?
You know it, let them become a stud,
Yeah.
But, but somebody has to give them that opportunity.
Right. Someone has to feed into him.
Someone has to feed into him and feed him this positive stuff, right? Yeah. Like, and feed him like, you know what, dude? Today is not going to define you 10, 15 years down the line.
Yeah.
This is your stepping stone for a change and for the ability to make your own impact.
Yeah.
In a positive nature.
And letting them know, adding on to that too, would be that your past doesn't determine your future.
It doesn't.
Just because of what you've been through doesn't mean you can't rewrite it.
Nope.
Like you could rewrite it right now.
You're the author of your own book.
Yeah.
Right? You're the author of your own book, so you can write your story.
Yeah.
However you want. And it's up to you. Mm-hmm. But I think without the guidance for them, it could be lost for them.
Right.
And that's why I say, like, with the proper people that I bring here to bring the exposure, like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
man. Well, this is awesome that you're doing this. I mean, thank you for inviting me onto this.
Yeah.
I want to, keep me in the loop into what happens in this. I never known about this.
And you drive by it down the 57 all the time, right? Like, you don't even notice it.
Yeah, you don't. Well, you think it's, I don't know, you think it's a beautiful oasis park, and it is, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm like, wow, this was all here the whole time.
Yeah.
And there's so many people around here that I
Yeah.
that do business, live
Exactly.
here, and probably have no idea.
And to me, that's the whole thing. I'm trying to bring entrepreneurs here. Talk about our life struggles and everything, but at the
Right.
same time, is the bring the awareness of what this place is and the change we can do,
Yeah.
right? And make the impact on the world. Because who knows, dude? One of these kids can go to med school one day and find the cure to, a disease that hasn't been cured yet,
Yeah.
right? But we don't know unless we give the opportunity to these kids,
Yeah.
right? But I thank you again, Armando. Again, this is Armando Olmeda. He definitely, somebody you want to connect with. We'll put all his information in the links down below. You'll be able to, find out his profiles and just see this. This guy's the jack of all trades when he starts working on stuff. But
yeah, shout out to Adrian, bro. Shout out to One Step at a Time. I think it's gonna be an amazing show, and I'm blessed, bro, just to even be here. And yeah, let's continue to make an impact.
Let's do it, bro.
That's where we're headed.
Thank you. Again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Peace.